I wanted to be at Texas State. I chose to be at Texas State. I'm from Texas. That was important to me. I always knew if the right guy got this job, you better watch out.
You better watch out. This is Win Now or Get Bent, episode 130. If you don't already know, I'm Kev Tardello, coming to you on Wednesday, September 27, and we've got a midweek episode. Oh yeah, I hinted at it on the last pod, decided to sprinkle in a little extra this week, might keep it going for weeks going forward. Who knows? We'll see how it plays out this week, but sat down with Derrick Osmond, broken arrow tight end, committed to the Bobcats, decommitted from Tulsa. He was there for the 77-point game against Jackson State, block party, that whole deal. You get to hear him talk about the block party, how impactful it was having the school president, Dr. Kelly Damphus, around. I thought that was really interesting that I didn't even ask him about the school president, and that was the first thing where his mind went when asking about Texas State. Just shows you the impact of what that guy's had. We've all seen it. We all know it. Real interesting deal and everything that's changed. But yeah, it won't just be an interview episode. I've got some more cleanup on Trident Gate. Maybe not some cleanup, but an extra little caveat from when I talked to the Wizard, Zachary Webb, great producer here at Win Now or Get Bent. He's on the sideline shooting those recaps. Go check that out, our cinematic recap on our YouTube channel, Win Now or Get Bent. It's a great one this week. They get better and better each week. My guy is a wizard. I call him that for a reason. Those videos are fantastic. But he saw a few things on the sideline that add a little extra detail to what happened, and we'll get there. I'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about some injuries as well, and so a little Sunbelt rundown. You know, I kind of promised that on the last one. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. But before we get there, this episode is sponsored by TGC LLC, the Galindo Collective, GALINDO, GalindoCollective.com. A team of professional consultants dedicated to helping others realize their business potential through people, planning, and practice. Their services cover a wide range of areas such as business strategy, marketing, human resources, and financial planning. If you own property or a business and want to maximize its profitability, contact TGC at thegalindocollective.com and follow their social media platforms at TGC_LLC on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and on Instagram and Facebook at the Galindo Collective. Shout out to my guy over there, Rick Galindo, a true Tech State sicko, a Tech State grad himself, been with us for a while, with us through the whole season. Really appreciate them. If anything you need for your business or your property, you want to maximize that profitability, as we were saying, hit them up at thegalindocollective.com, GALINDO, GalindoCollective.com. We are also sponsored by Balcones Roofing and Remodeling, the most experienced F-Wave roofing contractor in Central Texas. F-Wave is a highly impact-resistant lifetime shingle with stunning designer curb appeal. It is the only roofing product on the market with an exclusive hail warranty. I said it on the last episode. It was just this past weekend, and it was terrible hail damage, especially in the Round Rock area. I know here in Central Texas, I was seeing videos of the used car lots where all the windows are busted out from the hail. So not great. And I'm sure that affected a lot of roofs, but if you had that F-Wave shingle, wouldn't affect you as much. You wouldn't have to be dealing with insurance, dealing with guys stomping around on your roofs all the time, because you'd be set with that hail warranty on there. So shout out to my guy, Carl Larson, a new sicko, a converted Gamecock from South Carolina. He's here in the great state of Texas rooting on the Bobcats. So hit them up for any of your roofing needs. Balcones Roofs Austin.com. That's BALCONES, Balcones Roofs Austin.com, 512-937-8805. That's 512-937-8805. And follow them on Twitter at Balcones Roofing. Great follow on Twitter. We are also sponsored by Thaddeus Watkins, San Marcos Edward Jones Financial Advisor. Does your financial advisor take the time to really listen to you? Is your financial strategy personalized to you and your family? Will your financial advisor be there as your life and financial situation change? When you work with Thaddeus Watkins, your San Marcos Edward Jones Financial Advisor, he focuses on what's important to you. You'll work together and use an established process to create a personalized financial strategy backed by the advice, tools, and resources to help you reach your goals. contact Thaddeus Watkins at 737-373-8200. That's 737-373-8200, and at edwardjones.com/Thaddeus-Watkins, and on Twitter at Big Thad, BIGGTHADD_. Great follow. A great Texas State sicko there. Texas State grad and alumni, and a member of the football team. Who better to protect your finances than a former Texas State offensive lineman? So hit up Thad. The number again, 737-373-8200, and at edwardjones.com/Thaddeus-Watkins. Appreciate you, Thad. Always a pleasure to run into you at games and talk to you. And our last sponsor, Austin Patchmaster, our good friends at austinpatchmaster.com. Austin.patchmaster.com, I should say. Is your ceiling or wall cracked? Need that popcorn ceiling remove? Did you punch a hole in your wall after the Bobcats went down 17-0 in the first half in that last game? Hit up my guy, Michael Clements, a true Texas State sicko, a Texas State grad. They're servicing the greater Austin area and can also provide referrals to Patchmaster agents wherever you live in Texas. Contact them at austin.patchmaster.com and at 512-200-3888. That's 512-200-3888. Shout out my guy, Michael Clements. He is a true Texas State sicko. Appreciate him jumping back in, one of our earliest sponsors. So it's great to be plugging Austin Patchmaster again. All right, let's get to these Bobcats. I mentioned a little Trident gate cleanup. Just a little cleanup. This doesn't add too much to it. Talked about it on the last episode. Hopefully we waded through the confusion of that the Trident wasn't thrown at players, it wasn't thrown at fans. It was handed to the student section. And I have heard that student is facing suspension. So that is a real situation for him. I've also heard that he doesn't really want to talk to the media or talk about it. Feels like he's embarrassed the university. So all of that's understandable. I feel for that guy. It's a lot of unwanted attention on him. But, you know, I hope as time passes, he'll come to realize that it's a pretty cool moment. And I hope whatever the Texas State band decides to do with him, if they want to suspend it, because, yeah, he messed up. There should be some retribution for that. Definitely not expulsion or kicked off the band, or I'm sure he's on scholarship. He shouldn't lose a scholarship for this. I jokingly said a Johnny Manziel suspension on the last one, maybe just a half. But you know, maybe a game if they really want to enact some punishment. But I hope this doesn't truly affect his future and his standing with the university, because that would be a real big shame. You know, because we all had a lot of fun with it. If that guy needs help, needs a defense lawyer or some defense advice or anything, you know, that is a lot of people around the school enjoyed that Trident thing. I saw a lot of Trident emojis around. Maybe you should take some screenshots. You know, you could have some people on your side. But from the Wizards, Zachary Webb, what he was telling me from the sideline, I guess there was an issue with Nevada's equipment and how they stacked it on their sideline. Usually when the equipment's people and the trainers and everything, when they set up all of their station, there's usually a walkway between where the players stand and where the stands begin. Where it's and at Bobcat Stadium, you know, it's a pretty big wall. It isn't like that at any stadium. It's a pretty high up wall, so it's not like you can go up in stairs, go across the stands, and go around them. But the way they had stacked their equipment went from the players all the way back to the stands, so nobody could walk behind them. Media couldn't, band members couldn't, like when they were coming out to do stuff at halftime. And the Trident grab may have been more so in reaction to that more than anything against Nevada, just how their equipment was, because I heard this from Zach, and then other people talked about it as well at the press conference today. And on Tuesday, I guess it's coming out Wednesday. I'm recording Tuesday night. It's an evening pod. I usually don't record in the evening. It's kind of nice. but I guess it was blocking a lot of that walkway, and even when the band was having to come out at halftime, they were going out through players and through their equipment and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if that was intentional. It may have just been an oversight by Nevada, or maybe it was some gamesmanship where they didn't want people behind them. I'm not sure, but apparently there was not a path to walk behind that bench. And in that area, in that equipment, there was the Trident. It was right there. And I guess they don't call it a turnover Trident. I was reading about it. What was it? The takeaway Trident. That's what it was. They call it the takeaway Trident, which is even funnier. So he took away the takeaway Trident. Took your takeaway Trident. But that's just a little extra to that story. It doesn't really, I don't think that it's not anything that's going to help that kid in his case, because I still don't know his name. That's why I keep saying kid. I know he's probably a young man. He's in college. He's an adult. But whatever. I hope whatever happens to him isn't too serious. That whole situation, because it was bad. You gave away some of the other team's property, but nobody was hurt. The Trident wasn't thrown. It was a slap on the wrist. So all in good fun. They got the Trident back. It's not like somebody took the Trident and left, or somebody did something dangerous with the Trident in the stands. Although that could have happened as I'm talking it out. That could have been a real dicey deal. But that being said, we all had a lot of fun with it. I'm pretty sure he'll never do that again or anything close to that. So justice for Trident guy. You didn't embarrass the university at all. I'm sure you feel embarrassed because of all the undue attention, but you did not embarrass. It's another great college football story that we will remember for a long time. It was a memorable game already with the comeback, but now it's the Trident comeback now. I mean, that's going to live on forever. A little more from the game. After I watched the recap, and I meant to bring this up on the pod and I didn't, but I'm kind of glad I didn't, because then I learned more information at the press conference. But the broadcast was significantly improved. And I tweeted about this earlier after I found out what I'm about to tell y'all. It looked so much better, and it was one small change. They moved the cameras down. I guess they were on the tippy top of everything. I guess, I'm in the press box. I'm not really on top of it, so I didn't know exactly where the cameras were, but they were really high up. And changes were enacted. Changes were embraced. Not initially, but eventually. Changes were embraced. The cameras were lowered. Some seats removed. I heard around 11 seats were removed to make room for these cameras, and they're kind of higher up seats anyway. And so now instead they're on the sides of the press box, camera 1, camera 2. And so that it made for a much better watch. And you can tell with the lights, the new lights that they have, and now the cameras move to the angles that they are. Such an improvement in the broadcast. There's still a few other little things, and I'm not going to sit here and nitpick all of that, because I know that they know these things. But it's nice to see that when there are complaints, it's not falling on deaf ears, or it's not trying to be brushed under the rug, where people who make decisions are hearing the complaints and wanting to make changes. And that's a big change, because like I've said, that's what everybody sees. And if that looks low quality, then the perception of Texas State is low quality. And that just ups the quality. And that's just one small change. It's not that small. They had to move cameras and up in some chairs and make room and really make sure they had the proper space. But it's indicative of the trend that's coming, of them embracing the changes and increasing the quality little by little. It's like now that the angles part's taken care of. Some other things to clean up the sound and everything. But it's nice to see it getting there. And I was mentioning it before. Brent Freeman deserves a good broadcast like that. He's a really good broadcaster. And I think this is a good change, and it's one that didn't cost a lot of money either. I mean, you can't sell those seats anymore, but I'm sure we can find 11 other spots. And I don't know how many people were really sitting up in that section anyway. But it's great. It's great to see these changes across the board, little by little. It's not all going to happen in a day, but it is happening. When before it wasn't. When it was just people would show up to their positions at Texas State, and they were trained. Okay, here's how you do this, and that was how the person before them did it, and before them did it, and before them did it, and no one ever tried to change anything to increase the quality of it. It was like, well, this is how it's gone. This is how we do it. This is just how it's been. And it's like, just because that's how it's been doesn't mean that's how it should be. And it's nice. Change uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable, but you have to keep stepping up the game and increasing the quality of the product, the quality of the program, everything around it. I mean, change is very uncomfortable. I'm staring at a camera right now. I don't love that. That's a new change for us. But I knew for Win Now or Get Bent, if we wanted to increase what we do, if we wanted to grow, then you got to get in there and get uncomfortable. Comfort zone is a beautiful garden, but nothing ever grows there. It's a nice saying I've heard a lot, and it's very true. You gotta get a little uncomfortable. Because then once you get uncomfortable, then you get used to the change, and you change, then you get used to the change. And then it's no big deal. When you embrace change, it's a fascinating thing, because then you look around, you're like, what else can we change? What else can we do? How else can we step up this game? So it's nice to see that small step right there. I don't want to call it small. I mean, I say small because it was just it's one thing. They just moved the cameras, but that did take a lot. They moved them pretty far. And it looked fantastic, and I know they're even doing other things where it's going to look even better the next one. So that's great. Shout out to them. Shout out to Texas State for starting to get that correct. It's been an issue for a while. I know they've even lost some good employees because of that being an issue. So hopefully it pays dividends across the board. Some bad news though. I mentioned it. I found this out after recording the pod because of the coaches show, GJ Kinney coaches show. Shout out to my guy Cam. He's the one who gave me a tip off that they were talking about Torrey Spears being out for the season. Now he was out that game on Saturday. Still don't know the injury. I know it's a knee injury of some sort. We can all assume what that means. When usually it's knee, it's like ACL. But I don't want to assume anything because I haven't been told anything. GJ Kinney even said I don't want to comment on that deal. So we're gonna leave it at that. But he is out for the year, expected to return next year on a medical red shirt because he would have been a senior this year. I meant to look up how long he has been playing college football because he was at Iowa State as a walk-on before he got to Texas State. So he's played a lot of ball. Because he got to Iowa State in 2018, was there 2018 and 2019. Got to Texas State in 2020 as a redshirt sophomore. Each year he's been here, he's played significant. His first year, 7 starts, played 9 games his next year. Sun Belt honorable mention after 2022. Man, he was on track. He was going to be in the NFL after this season. That's probably the biggest bummer of that for Torrey personally is he's a really good person. I've gotten to know him a lot since he's been here. He was one of the 2 guys at Sunbelt Media Day in July, so really got to talk with him a lot there. And he's having a baby in October. I guess if there's one positive for Torrey, just on a personal note, is that he's going to be able to be more present for that. And trust me, it's all hands on deck when that situation happens. So that's good for him. He won't have to worry about making it to a game or what have you. But, I mean, a 6'4" safety, he's a hard hitter, had that interception earlier in the year. We had something like 19 tackles on the season in 3 games. It's a big loss on and off the field for this team because he's one of the leaders, he's one of the team captains. It's one of 3 team captains that are down right now. Nash Jones is out probably another 8 weeks after getting hurt at UTSA. Jordan Revels also got hurt at UTSA. GJ Kinney said it was probably 1 to 3 weeks on Revels. Not sure what that injury is, but that's 3 of their 5 captains are pretty banged up. one of them out for the year now. Caleb Culp did step up. He's the Incarnate Word transfer. From that interview with Nash Jones at Media Day that I was talking about, he's talking about Caleb Culp and how he squats 500 pounds, which is pretty impressive for a safety. When you look at him, he's a solid safety. I mean, he's a pretty big, strong guy. But he stepped up, and that's good that there's not a huge drop off. Torrey Spears is a terrific player, so when he's not out there, it definitely impacts the defense. But it's not a huge drop off from Spears to Culp, especially with the familiarity with Culp in this defense and how close he is with Sean Holton, the other safety. I'm pretty sure they're roommates. I think I have that right. It's just behind Culp, because there was already depth issues at safety before Torrey Spears went down. Now Spears going down, it's creates a lot of issues. They have Bobby Crosby's the Cisco transfer. He got some really good remarks from Dexter McCoyle in fall camp, the safeties coach Dexter McCoyle. Same with Javin Ware, also a JUCO transfer. He's in his second year with the Bobcats, though. He came in during in the Spavital regime. Ronnie Hamrick is another guy who's gotten in there a little bit at safety, but they're just not very deep at that safety spot specifically. Now in this defense, this 4-2-5 with this 3-3-5, they shake up the looks a lot, putting Ben Bell at that outside linebacker spot. But it's 5 DBs either way. So they have the nickel back is the star position, is what they call it, and then two corners, 2 safeties. So there could be some guys moving around, some guys who play nickel, some guys who play corner. You've got like John Blunt Jr., Eastern Kentucky transfer. I really like him, like what he brings. Could see him maybe get in more at safety, or other guys move and he gets put in more at corner or nickel or what have you. But John Blunt Jr., I could see. Caleb Coleman, man, he was really knocking some heads against Baylor, and then it seemed like he broke his hand. He's got that big club on his hand. Almost punched a guy with the club at that last game. It got close. He whiffed right by his face mask. Glad that didn't connect. He may have gotten in some trouble, but he's a feisty guy. It's interesting. We got to, at the press conference, got to talk to AJ Edwards, and he was talking about Caleb Coleman wearing that club. So look out for that one. Speaking of AJ Edwards, he has been starting at that star position. Could see him also moving back to some safety. I've seen him do some corner. He's a player that I wouldn't mind anywhere you put him at a DB spot. I like AJ Edwards out there on the field, so I could see him getting an increased role there, although he has been starting at that nickel spot. And when I'm foreseeing him is at safety, and then Caleb Coleman, once that hand heals and he's not wearing the club, because he still plays with the club, but he's not starting. Not as effective, obviously, with one hand. Could see him at that star position. And A.J. Edwards moving back. Chris Mills, too, increased role for him, because right now the corners are Josh Eaton, who's terrific. He is a feisty son of a gun. And then Caleb Ford DeMint. It's interesting the difference in personalities with the 2 starting corners. We got to talk to Caleb Ford DeMint as well. Look out for that. And I'll get a presser pod out on that as well, so you'll be able to hear it from us. But so with those 2 guys really holding down the corner spots, Chris Mills has been more rotational, but still an effective player. Really used a lot. He was used a lot last year as well. So I could see him having a little bit more of an increased role, maybe even at that safety spot. But they're gonna have to do something, because it's real thin at that safety spot. Kenny talked a little bit more about injuries as well. Connor Fox, game time decision, leaning towards playing, though. Myron Warren, same deal, game time decision, leaning towards playing. Bo Corrales, game time decision, leaning towards playing. Actually ran into Bo Corrales as he was leaving the facility. Said he's good to go. He's waiting to get the green light. And if you hear from Kinney in that press conference, it says a lot of these are holding these guys out as precautionary, and they just don't want to push it with some of these injuries. It's a long season, got 8 more games left, all of them in conference. So they want to preserve some of these guys as much as possible, which is understandable. But I'm pretty confident Myron Warren will be back, because I was hearing Myron Warren could have played last week I guess that really bad injury against Jackson State may have been just like a pinched nerve, but I mean, those hurt for sure. That's why he was down on the ground and in a ton of pain. But in the long run, it's not as serious as an injury as we see a lot of times when they do get carted out. So that's good. It's great. It was the same deal with Chris Mills last year. I know his was a neck injury. I don't know if it was a nerve. I don't want to say that, but it looked like a really bad injury, and it ended up being, he just missed a game and he came back. So looking like the same deal for Warren. So that's nice. Let's do a quick Sun Belt rundown. Let's talk about the belt. And we'll get to that Derrick Osmond interview because that's a good one. So the Sun Belt, they're getting it going. I wrote down who's playing who this week. We'll get to Texas State. We've talked a lot about Texas State, but I just want to talk about the Sun Belt in general. But we'll go through this real fast. But the top team in the East is Georgia State, and they're playing the number 6 team in the West, Troy. That's 6 p.m. on Saturday. The second team in the East, James Madison, they're playing the 5th team in the West, South Alabama. It's interesting, 6-5 for Troy and South Alabama, 2 teams that were pegged to be on top of the West Division in the preseason polls. But it's still early. We haven't even truly hit conference. Only a few teams have played a conference game. But they get an 11 a.m. kickoff. Good for them. JMU versus South Alabama. 11 a.m. on Saturday. Third team in the East, Old Dominion. They are at the 4th team in the East, Marshall, 2:30 p.m. That should be a good one. ODU surprising some people early on as well. Nice win by Marshall. I like their coach a lot. 5th team in the East, Georgia Southern versus the 7th team in the East, Coastal Carolina. It'll be at 6 p.m. NFL Network for that one. That's fun. Davis Brin for Georgia Southern. He's throwing a lot of picks. He's also throwing for a lot of yards. That Clay Helton offense. It's fun at Georgia Southern. See them in San Marcos this year. The 6th team in the East, App State. They are playing the 4th team in the West, ULM. That's 7 p.m. The number 1 team in the West, Texas State. Just kidding. It's Arkansas State. You thought for a sec, didn't you? Arkansas State is above the Bobcats because they have a conference win. They're at UMass. That's random, right? They're 2:30 at UMass. Arkansas State, Jalen Raynor is really, really good quarterback. Seems like they found their guy. He's a freshman. They lost those first 2 games, but they've been putting it together. I gotta give them props. But the second team in the West, Texas State, they are at Southern Mississippi, 6 p.m. on Saturday. And then the third team in the West, Louisiana, they're playing at Minnesota, 11 a.m. 11 a.m. for that kickoff. I love a good 11 a.m. kickoff. I've only experienced a few, but it's nice. I mean, the game's done by like 2:30. Submit your article by 3:30. Rest of the day to watch college football. Maybe have a soda pop or two, have a good time. But some Sunbelt stats. It's fun to pull up the Sunbelt stats, the total team stats, and look. And where's Texas State after 4 games? It's 4 games. It's a good number of games to have a frame of reference for where they're at statistically. And number 1 scoring offense in the Sunbelt, right there, the tippy top, 41.8 points per game. Louisiana at number 2 at 38.8. Georgia State 37, App State 35, and then Georgia Southern 34. Defensively, they're number 9. Not too bad, 27.3, especially when you have a double-digit more points you're scoring on offense than you're holding them to on defense. I'm okay. Seen it the other way around with this program before, so that one doesn't disturb me as much. But then when you click on total offense, Texas State still at the tippy top again. 485.3 yards per game. Georgia Southern right behind them at 480. Louisiana at 478.5. App State 446. And Georgia State 439. Georgia State, I didn't talk about them enough, but they're having a nice early start to the season. Yards wise, though, second to last on defense, 412.3. Second to last. Only Arkansas State is worse at 447.8. We've said it before, bend don't break defense. They're going to give up a lot, but they're going to try to get more on offense. Rushing offense, Bobcats are second in the Sun Belt. Number 1 is Louisiana, 237 yards per game. Texas State, 212 yards. Significant drop from 1 to 2, because the number 3 ULM's 206, number 4 App State 205, and then Georgia State 191. It's a pretty big drop from 237 to 212, 1 to 2. Louisiana, always salty, always a good team. Bobcats have them in 2 weeks. Passing, Texas State fourth in the Sun Belt. Number 1, Georgia Southern at 340 yards. Number 2, Coastal at 281. Number 3, Troy, 274. Number 4, Texas State, 273 yards passing per game. Georgia State behind them at 248. So that's fun. It's good to see Texas State right there. Even on returns, they're number 2. 379 yards, 27.1 yards per return. Gotta like that as well. Even looking at some of these individual stats. Let me see. I know TJ Finley is number 2 in the Sun Belt. Quarterbacks. He's behind Davis Brin. 7 interceptions for Davis Brin. Wow. TJ Finley only has 1. But not as many yards. Davis Brin has 1,289 yards. TJ Finley, 1,055. 9 touchdowns for Brin, 8 for Finley. That interception difference is huge, 7-1. Davis Brin is by far leading the Sun Belt in interceptions. But yeah, even going through the individual stats, you have Bobcats all across the board. You have Ishmael Mahdi at number 5 in rushing, 99.8 yards per game. Mahdi's going to be interesting to see how many carries they give him. And maybe I'm underestimating his ability when I say this, but I don't love the idea of him taking 20 carries a game. Just doesn't seem like a big bell cow back like that. And I think if you do that to someone like him, he's going to get injured. But like 10, 12, 15 carries a game, I'd really like that. I know they didn't mix it up as evenly as they'd like last game, giving Mahdi 21 carries and it yielded 216 yards. I just think, I know they like to use a lot of running backs, so I know they'd prefer to use more than just Mahdi, and I think they're going to have to. But Mahdi, man, he's a pretty special player. But that's good for a Sun Belt rundown. We'll wade more into the individual stats as the season goes on, as they start to go up against some of these conference guys. And then, I'll leave it on this note. Got the Derrick Osmond interview. I've already gone longer than I wanted to, but I've got this Derrick Osmond interview coming up that y'all are going to really enjoy. My last note before we get there, though, is, and I'm sure that they are doing this, but the school, the administration, Dr. Kelly Dampfist, Don Coryell, they really need to start preparing for when other teams are going to start knocking on their door about GJ Kinney, maybe not even knocking on their door, knocking on his agent's door. And they need to have something in plan to pay him and give him some sort of increase, because this 3-1 start for Texas State, it's the best start for a first-year coach for the Bobcats since 1997, Bob DeBessie. Don't even know if I'm saying his name right. Sorry about that. But I think that's Bob DeBessie. And it's been that long since a first-year coach did it. The last time we saw any coach here do it was Dennis Franchione 2013, and that was his third year. That was his third year in 2013. It's the start is incredible, and it's a lot of eyes are looking at Texas State. You already see people from Baylor saying, "Wait, when Aranda's out, maybe we go check out GJ Kinney. What's going on with this guy?" He's got the connection to Baylor too. His dad played there. His brother plays there right now. He was even saying his sister graduated from there. There's going to be suitors for GJ Kinney, and Texas State needs to prepare itself, and they probably already are. I haven't talked to anybody about anything. This is more so me just working out thoughts, but they definitely need to prepare for it. And if they're a little concerned about how much money they're going to have to put up to pay GJ Kinney, this is a thing you've seen from other big colleges where the buyout for the coach is significant, where you give the coach a big pay raise, but if they want to leave and go somewhere else, you get a good chunk back. maybe like 10 million back, something like that. And so you could almost pay yourself back for the years that he was here, year, or however long it was. You pay yourself back for that amount of time that coach was there. And you also, it could also be a little bit of a profit too, so it's not, you're not left completely empty when a rising star coach comes into your program and gets hired away really quick. If you have a contract in place where the buyout is big for you, it also, it's a good way for Texas State to clear its conscience about giving a pay raise to GJ Kinney, because it's going to have to happen. The guy's making what Spavital made. I mean, if you remember during the whole coaching search, we've talked about it, that Morris up at UNT balked at that because that was how much, it was the exact contract Spavital was getting, $800K a year. Traylor's making $2 million. Y'all told me before over the last one when I didn't know how much he was making, and I already forgot again. I think it's like $2 million. I mean, it's just the way of the world. And if you have a really good coach, and he's proven himself at every facet, not just the winning games, he goes out there, he recruits, he does all the little things right. He's very present, he's very approachable. He's knocked it out of the park since he got to Texas State. And I mean, we're waiting for it to reveal itself. It's like, okay, when are you going to do something that is the wrong way? And I haven't seen it yet. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. Maybe that first half last week, that's when it wasn't going the right way. But for everything he's done, he's knocked it out of the park. So I don't know. I know it's early. I know it's only 4 games into the season. But it's fair for like last season around this time, we're talking about, is Spavital out at the end of the season? So it's fair if we're going to talk about it that early when it's going bad. When it's going well, you got to talk about it the other way. How do you keep the good thing? How do you keep it going? Yeah. That's really that's the gist of it. That's really what I hope that Texas State is taking the measures seriously about what GJ Kinney's doing, because there's a lot of people asking me about him and everything. He's going to be one of those names that people are going to know, especially around college football. They probably already do, at least not the casuals. That's for sure. But all right, that'll do it. Let's get to Derrick Osmond. Great interview with him. Check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/winnowergetbent. $5 a month. You get all these articles, help support the pod, help us grow. Also check out our merch site, wnogb.com. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can see the shirt I'm wearing. Bang. We got hats. We got mugs. We got lots of good stuff on there. Go check it out. Our YouTube channel, as I just said, Win Now or Get Bent. On there, go like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff on there. Follow us on Twitter at Win Now or Get Bent, on Instagram at WNOGB. Thank you to TGC, Balcones Roofing and Remodeling, Thaddeus Watkins, and Austin Patchmaster. Thank you to the wizard Zachary Webb for producing an extra episode this week. I really, really appreciate him and his hard work. Go check out that recap, please. Go share that around. Share that around more than the pod. My guy works so hard on that. That's there's a lot of time that goes into that 2-3 minute video. And thanks to y'all, the sickos, the wonderful sickos. Without y'all, I would just be shouting into the void, and none of this would be possible. All the growth, everything we've gotten to experience is all because of y'all. So thank you so much, and thanks for always tuning in. But all right, let's get to Derrick Osmond. Great interview. Broken Arrow tight end. Newest commit for the Bobcats. 15 commits for the 2024 class. Another, before I switch over to him real quick, expect more transfers and JUCOs in recruiting coming up. They're going to start pursuing more of them. They have a lot of high school offers out. They have a lot of players that they want, and so they're still going to add some more high school players, but it seems like this class is going to go over that 25 scholarship allotment. I don't know that. I haven't confirmed anything. It's it's all very fluid because a lot of that depends because they get 85 scholarships total. So a lot of that depends on who's going to leave, who's going to enter the transfer portal. And then they know how many spots they have. But it seems like it's trending towards more than 25. If they're already at 15 and they have plans for more, I think it's safe to say that. But great interview with Derrick Osmond. I hope you enjoy that. Thank you to Derrick for jumping on the pod and talking with me. Y'all enjoy. Win now or get bent. I am joined by new Texas State commit, Broken Arrow tight end, Derrick Osmond. Derrick, how's it feel to be a Bobcat, man?
Feels great, man. I feel like I'm home.
Nice. You came and visited last weekend. What'd you think of San Marcos? What were all the scenes that you saw?
I fell in love with it, man. The whole block party, and it kind of showed me a lot about the whole community there. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a president of a university so like in with the students and in with the community, like Texas State has. It's amazing.
It's fascinating that that's the first place you go is talking about the president. You know, he's pretty new on the scene, a little over a year on the job, and he has really invigorated this place, especially the sports. Seems that's something he's taken on. What was your meetings like with him? How did you come across him? Was it just at the block party? Did you see him on your recruiting visit more? Was he kind of in there recruiting for the Bobcats a little bit?
Well, I flew down Friday and I got there. And right when I got to the hotel, Coach Bryant and Coach Kinney, we met up, we talked for a little bit, and then they went down to check out the block party while I went up to my hotel room and got everything situated. And I came out and Coach Bryant picked us up and we went down there with Coach Martinez. And first thing I do is I get out, we see the baseball players singing, which by the way they're amazing. We went down there, listened to them sing for a second, and then the president came up and introduced himself to me, which is I was like, wow, I didn't think the president would come up and introduce himself to me. So I introduced myself to him and we talked for a little bit, and then I saw him a couple more times there and we talked for a second, and then the game day when we were walking down the walk, he remembered me and he talked to me, and then in the middle of the game he talked to me when I came down there, and on my visit when I was leaving he made sure to let me know we'd love to have you down here. It was a blessing having you out there, which I fell in love with. I just love the community down there. And then yesterday he texted me and he was like, "Hey man, just got your number. I want to stay in contact with you. I'm glad you came down here. I hope it's in your mind." And I texted him back. I said, just tune in tonight at 5. And he was like, "I'll be waiting." And made that tweet, and he was the first one to text me congratulations.
Yeah, how about that? Oh, that man, he's all over the place. It's pretty cool. He's even getting in there with the recruits. Yeah, interesting job he's done since he got here. Obviously, the coaching staff had a lot to do with your decision as well. GJ Kinney, Will Bryant. Talk about those guys and the relationships that you built that went into your decision to choose Texas State.
Yeah, I'd say hands down, no doubt about it, best coaching staff I've ever been around. I had visits I visited OU, OSU, Baylor, all these places, all these big places, and coaching staff was cool there. But once Coach Bryant talked to me and Coach Kinney talked to me, I realized the importance of having a team loving coach instead of a winning loving coach. Because high school ball, it's a job just like college is, but I feel like college wise, I thought personally I would go in there and I wouldn't be as close as with a head coach and my position coach as I am in high school. But just even in the recruiting process, I realized I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, because Coach Bryant, there was a 2-month period where every single day me and Coach Bryant got on FaceTime and we talked and we went over plays and all stuff like that. And then he went on a trip to Hawaii. So I'm like, all right, I'll talk to you whenever you get back. Then it stopped. I was getting FaceTimes from him in Hawaii when he was on his vacation with his family. He was just letting me know everything and how he's going, and he's really a special part of my life right now.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the video they posted on Twitter of him popping a bottle of champagne. That tells you how badly they wanted to get you in the boat, and they sure did. So yeah, you telling me that he FaceTimed you every day for months goes a long way. Well, tell me about the direction they tell you when they're bringing you in, when they're I was watching your huddle. You have tight end highlights. You have defensive end highlights. It seems like they're looking at you tight end if you're talking about Coach Bryant. But what's their vision for you here in maroon and gold?
As far as I'm aware right now, tight end. But with talking to Coach Bryant and letting him know that I know it's very rare to play Ironman football in college, where it's Ironman football is both sides of the ball. Because
Mhm.
I start both ways at the biggest high school in Oklahoma, which I mean, I it was a goal of mine and I wanted to do it. And once I got it, I fell in love with it. I'm like, dude, I want to do this in college. I want to do this for the rest of my life. So after talking with Coach Bryant, he said, yeah, I want you at tight end, which is my favorite. I would love to go down and play tight end. But I also talked with the defensive coach. He's like, yeah, man, I'd love to get you out here and get some reps. So Coach Bryant, he knows he doesn't want them to steal me, but he knows that when I'm down there, I'll be taking offensive reps mostly, but I'll probably take some defensive reps at D end or defensive line or anything they want. Whenever they need someone to fill in, I'm the first one behind coach telling them it's me.
Hey, that versatility that'll go a long way for you, and as far as your playing career. You mentioned that you visited OU and some other schools. It seems you were committed to Tulsa. Are you locked down as far as visits? Are you going anywhere else? Do you have any plans to come back to San Marcos this season, or what's the
God,
recruiting like for you?
I wish I could come back to San Marcos. I don't know. I'll probably make it out there again a couple more times down to San Marcos this season. But um, I had planned on going on a couple visits, and Texas State was going to be one of them. And I went on quite a bit of not unofficial visits with Tulsa just because they're 8 minutes down the road, and I'm always there. And I had a good relationship with those coaches. And then OU's close, and Stillwater, that's OSU. They're about 2 hours away from the house, so we made sure to go and visit those places. But I was going to visit Texas State. I had it in my mind, if I fall in love, I want this to be my last one. I commit here because Texas State was different in the recruitment process. I'll say Coach Kinney and Coach Bryant got that. They got that unlocked. So they know what they're doing.
Yeah, it seems like it. They have a lot of success on the recruiting trail. One of those other commits for this, you're the 15th for this 2024 class. The very first one was Brad Jackson, Reagan quarterback, and I'm sure you got to meet him at the block party. Did you get to meet him? How much have you talked to the other commits? You guys have like a group chat or anything? Is it a communicative group?
Well, considering the fact that I just joined, I just committed 2 hours ago. I'm not really in a group chat quite yet, but even before I committed, even the day I was offered, Brad hit me up and told we talked ever since then, and he hit me up and talked about how much he loves it here and he would love to get down there, and yeah, I went to a camp to OSU, and it was me at the end, and there was another guy there who was pretty good. His name's Akel. I was like, man, he's pretty good. We got to chat and we were good friends, and we both got offered to take a visit around the campus. So we took a visit and we just became buds. And then I got onto my OV to Texas State, and I see Lakel there. I'm like, what's up, bro? And he's like, hey, how you doing? You gonna commit? And I was like, well, I'm gonna take this visit. I'm gonna see how it goes. And he's like, you should commit. I committed 2 weeks ago. It's like, what? So it's funny. It's a small world. We met again, and our families chatted it up, and we good buds.
Hey, Lakel McCowan, I'm pretty sure that's who you're talking about. That out of Clear Falls, that linebacker. That's pretty cool. That's cool that you guys already. I'm sure he wants you to play on the defensive side with him a little bit, huh? Was he getting in there?
I don't know, man. We were taking defensive end reps, and it was been back and forth. So it would be a fun matchup with us, but I think he'll be good. I got offense. He got defense.
Yeah, Lakel, I know his dad played here. I'm pretty sure back in the
Yeah,
90s. I haven't gotten to talk to him yet, but I know I've heard that. I'm looking forward to talking to him about all that.
yeah, he's a
Uh,
great guy.
yeah. When checking out San Marcos, you've visited other places. How do you compare San Marcos to some of these other college towns you checked out?
A lot of the college towns, I checked out Kansas. I like Kansas pretty early on in my recruiting process. I like Kansas, so I went down there and we visited Lawrence, and my parents fell in love with it. And I was like, wow, this place is amazing. It was really a beautiful campus, and OU was pretty down in Norman, and then Stillwater. It's a college town for sure. There's not a lot of stuff around Stillwater except for OSU, and I had that in mind. I was like, all right, I'm going to Texas State. I know that I know that San Marcos is pretty popular, so I'll keep that in mind. And I went down there, dude. It is beautiful. There's so much stuff going on with the river going through campus and all the hills on the university and the sun god out on campus, out screaming by the river, all that stuff. I love it, man.
I'm glad to hear the sun worshiper. That's what he prefers. Yeah, he
Sun
not.
worshiper.
Yeah, everyone says sun god, but he prefers sun worshiper. I'm glad he didn't scare you off. You know, some people it's not their taste. You know, but
Yeah, he
he's
didn't scare me off, but he definitely surprised me.
yeah, he does that. He with his chants. There's a lot of characters, a lot of eclectic characters around San Marcos. It's a very interesting place. I think you're going to enjoy it even more when you get down here. Talk to me about your season at Broken Arrow. How's it going for y'all over there? And also the second part to that, what kind of offense are y'all running? I was watching your tape. Seems like you're a pretty run heavy offense, but it may have been last year's tape. What's
Yeah,
the system like?
yeah. Last year we had some really good running backs. We had Nate Jones and we had Caden Jones, but Nate Jones he went off to college, and then Caden Jones he transferred out to a different high school. So we were known we need somebody to step up, and we had a running back named Cabry Harris. He stepped up. He's a senior this year. He's a captain. He's done amazing, and he was doing amazing all season or all summer, all the team camps and stuff we went to. We were ready for that. And then we had a little freshman. He popped off. His name's Octavian Roberson. He's going to be amazing. He was good, and so we go through, and the first game, Cabry gets hurt, and so we were like, all right, Octavian, this is your time to shine. So he went out there and he's balled out and he's starting running back. But luckily we got KB back now, so he'll be sharing reps with them. I'd say we're like, I don't know, I would say 60-40 rather than 70-30. I'd say 60% run, 40% pass because we got good receivers and a great quarterback. But yeah, we run a lot of 11 and a lot of 11 personnel. We're just one tight end and some receivers in our back, and then we make sure to go 12 personnel when we want to go heavy set. And then just the Wassa week, last week when we played, we were trying to get me in the offense a lot more. So they moved me. They made a new whole package called 12 Oz where we got a tight end, and then we take out one of our receivers and throw me in our wideout, and it worked. It did pretty good. I had a blast playing it. It was hard because tight end and DN, it's not a lot of running, but you got to get some effort, and it'll take its toll on your body. But wide receiver and DN, that's a lot of running.
It's true. It's a way more. You seem like you're really comfortable with the blocking with this type of offense when I was watching the huddle. So I mean, I guess when you are playing both sides, is that kind of a somewhat of a benefit to be able to just block and not have to wear yourself out running so much?
100%. I was a good tight end. I was all right when I was playing just strictly offense, and then they moved me down to defensive end the first week of my junior year. I'd never played defensive end. Our senior got hurt, so they moved me out there and they asked me to try it out. And I tried it out, and I did great. I mean, I got the starting job. I got Power 5 offers from it. I did really good, and I didn't realize how beneficial it is knowing exactly what the person you're going up against is going to do, vice versa. Because on defense, I would be going against a tight end. I'm a tight end my whole life. I know exactly what he's going to do. And then when I went up on tight end, now that I know all the stuff that the DNs do, I'm like, all right, this is the move he's going to try on me. This is the defense he's going to try and long on me here. I got to get under his pads right here. I would say it's hands down. If you have the opportunity, you should try it and take it and do it because it completely changed the way I play football.
Awesome. And and tell me about how's your family feel about you committing to Texas State? You're going from Oklahoma to Texas. It's not too far, but it is another state. Are they okay with it? Do you have any family down in Texas? Maybe someone down this way you can see a little bit, or how's that situation like?
I mean, I got Coach Bryant. He's really the only person I call family out there. No, I don't got any family out there. My dad, we were talking the day after I committed. He said he's proud. He said he's gonna drive. He'll get used to it. Mom, she's known him. I wanted to go to San Marcos for a while. I'm gonna commit there after our visit. She's known. She's a little waterworks coming out, but she'll be okay.
Yeah, it's good to get away, away from home a little bit when you go off to college. That's all part of it. So it won't be too bad. And that drive, it's a nice drive all the way from
Yeah.
Oklahoma. I went to high school up in Fort Worth, so we'd pop
Oh,
over to Oklahoma sometimes. It's not too far away.
yeah.
But Derrick, this was awesome, man. I am sure you won't be able to get back to San Marcos until probably the spring or sometime. But when you do, drop me a line. I'll have to come shake your hand.
Sweet. I'd love to meet
Awesome, Derrick. You have a great night, man.
you too.